Hey, this is Notser, and we're going to be detailing how to maximize a ship line split in World of Warships. For many of you, this is the first time this has occurred in your play with ships. It has, however, occurred 2 prior times for those old guard who remember it. The first line split is when the Japanese destroyers gained 4 extra ships, and some moved around, and we got the Akizuki out of that, and the primary identifier was torpedo reload booster. That was sort of the extra bit. Well, they nerfed that into ground. That doesn't exist anymore as an extra trait. But that was pretty much it. You had smoke and torpedo reload boost that you could equip on these 2. Can't do that anymore, except for the Akizuki, but yeah. I'm not bitter. Not bitter at all. The other line split is the Soviet destroyer line split. We gained defensive fire and more AA-focused ships that had better concealment than the main line. And that was pretty cool. In this example, we're going to be talking about the U.S. cruiser line split because it's up and coming and it's relevant information. If you're watching this in the future and they haven't announced a different style of releasing these lines, this cruiser line split, well, then this information should be relevant. They have not confirmed this with the U.S. cruiser line split with an article, though, and I think they did with the Soviet cruisers, Soviet destroyers. Easy to make that mistake because Soviet destroyers are like light cruisers. But regardless, I'm hoping that this is applicable, and I'm hoping that you can maximize your return on investment. So, what should you do in preparation for the line split? Well, you should try and own every ship that will be changing in some regard. That's the first and most important thing you can do. The Cleveland, the Pensacola, the New Orleans, the Baltimore. These 4 ships are the only U.S. cruisers currently, before the line split occurs, that have any adjustment. Now, it is a significant adjustment, so you could benefit from it monetarily, but these are the only 4 that are relevant. You could not own the Des Moines at all and see 100% of this value returned. It's only the 4 ships that are changing. So the Cleveland, what's the Cleveland going? It's going from a Tier 6 main line, and I'm using that terminology very importantly for this example. It's going from the main line Tier 6 to the alternative line Tier 8. The Pensacola is going from the main line Tier 7 to the main line Tier 6. The New Orleans is going from the main line Tier 8 to the Tier 7. The Baltimore is going from the main line Tier 9 to Tier 8. What does the main line thing mean? Well, the main line thing means is when the Cleveland splits, you will get the main line Tier 6, and you will get wherever the Cleveland ends up. Same with the Pensacola. You will get the main line Tier 7 and wherever the Pensacola ends up. New Orleans, Baltimore. Because the ships are quite literally staying exactly the same, you get the named ship and whatever main line slot you unlocked. So, does that mean that it's going to double in certain instances? That's exactly what it means. That means that I'm going to get the mainline Tier 9, which is going to be the Buffalo, because I fully unlocked the Baltimore and I unlocked the Des Moines. I believe for that check, specifically for the Buffalo, I need to have the Des Moines unlocked to have a fully unlocked Buffalo. I believe that to be the case. It could just be an XP check, and it could just look and see how much XP you have on your Baltimore and then just credit you that same XP on the Buffalo whenever that occurs. But I swear that something was weird where I already had, all the ships unlocked for one of the other previous splits. I know I play this game too much. And I didn't get all of the ship unlocks for one of those ships when they moved. It was something like that. It was weird. I had to replay it in its weakened state for 2 or 3 or 4 games. I'm trying to remember that. Maybe it was the Ognevoi when it came from Tier 6 to Tier 8. Regardless, the best thing you could do is have everything unlocked. You'll get there shouldn't be any issue. But if you can't, then I'm going to try and detail exactly what you do. So, Cleveland, moving from tier 6 to tier 8. Own the Cleveland. That's the most value you can gain. It will allow you to have the mainline tier 6, and it'll also give you a jump start at the alternative line at tier 8. I should have the tier 8 Cleveland fully unlocked, and I should be able to progress to the Seattle. There is a tier 6 and a tier 7 in the alternative line that I will not have unlocked. I will have to play the Omaha. Oh yeah, make sure you have enough elite XP on the ship. Like I could play it right now just to make sure, do my dailies, and I will have enough XP to unlock the Dallas in the alternative line without having to play all those Omaha games or spending free XP then. Alright, let's get back to it. So Cleveland, it's going to be the tier 8 alternative line. That's great. That's a lot of value, right? And I own it already, right? So I'll get the tier 6 and I'll get the tier 8. Cool, cool. Everything's cool. Is there anything else that like doubles up? Yes. Premium camouflage. Commanders. Make sure, if you can, you're going to get the most value from owning the Cleveland's premium. Now, it's 1,000 doubloons, and my previous recording, I bought it and I screwed up the recording. But regardless, it's 1,000 doubloons. If I own the Tier 6 Cleveland Premium Camouflage, I will get the mainline Tier 6 Premium Camouflage, which will end up being the Pensacola. Now that you probably will play that, but regardless. And I will also get, wherever the Cleveland goes, that Premium Camouflage too. And it won't be this, crappy Tier 6. It will be scaled to the Tier 8 value of Premium Camouflage. As you probably know, Premium Camouflage increases in value as it goes up. It gives you more return on cost of ship battle, all that stuff. That's going to continue to hold true. So if you can, invest a little bit in the Premium Camouflage, and you'll see more return on that investment too. So, own the Cleveland, I get the mainline Tier 6, alternative line Tier 8. Own the Premium Camouflage, I get the mainline Premium Camouflage, and I get the Cleveland Premium Camouflage at the Tier 8 slot. What about the Commander? Well, if I have a Commander sitting in my Cleveland, I better have a Commander sitting in my mainline Tier 6 and my Cleveland that's going to be at Tier 8 in the alternative line. You will. What Wargaming does is they give you another commander with almost equivalent experience. In this example, I have a 12 skill. I know. Why don't you have a 19 in your Cleveland? Honestly, I played so much of the good Cleveland in Alpha and Closed Beta. It's really hard to play the Cleveland in its nerf state. I know it's still really powerful, and I know it's better than the Pensacola, but I can't wait for the Tier 8 version. I just can't wait for that. So, this commander, this 12 skill, will be assigned to the Cleveland, and I will get another commander because you clearly need a commander for your mainline Tier 6 with the Cleveland moving up to Tier 8. It's going to be a 10 skill commander. If I remember correctly, Wargaming does not give you a 19 outright. They give you a 15. That's the highest they'll return on that double. If you don't have a 15, like I have a 12, I believe they'll give you a 10. And if you can't reach a 10 scale commander and you have like a 5 or a 7, they'll give you a 5. I think that was the 3 breaking points for the commander doubling. I could be wrong, and it could just be another 10 skill. It might be that my 19 might turn into a 19 and a 10. But there is this doubling of commanders that occurred in the Soviet destroyers. I don't want you to pass up that value. That's a lot of value. I still have extra Soviet commanders from the doubling that occurred from the Soviet destroyers. I just stick them on like my cruisers they're pretty crappy without concealment right. That's the best thing about all this. There's so much value potential. So we have the Cleveland. What's the next best ship to own? Well, I think it's the Baltimore, because you're going to get the Tier 9 Buffalo, and you're going to get the Tier 8, which is going to be the Baltimore. Okay, well, that sounds cool. Do I get the Tier 9 Premium? My understanding is you do get the Tier 9 Buffalo Premium Camouflage. Now, it might be a completely different camouflage they make up for it, but you should continue to carry that value. And then you can own the New Orleans. If you own the New Orleans, you will get the mainline tier 8, and then you'll get the mainline wherever the New Orleans goes, which is the tier 7 slot. So in that example, I already have the Baltimore at tier 8. What happens to the mainline tier 8 slot? You get the ship's value, because as far as the game is concerned, you have 2 in your inventory at that point. You have obviously the Baltimore, which will be at tier 8, and then you have the mainline tier 8 value, which obviously is the Baltimore, but it was the New Orleans. So every ship of the 4 that is moving in some regard, you will see credit value if it moves into a slot that's already occupied by a previous ship that you already own, you know, right? So I'm gonna make sure that I own every single ship that's moving. I should see the value of the tier 8 as extra credit. I should see the value of the tier 7 as extra credit, and the tier 6 as extra credit. Three ships worth of credit as value that just pops up from a split is fantastic, and it's going to fund me purchasing the Dallas, Helena, Seattle. All those ships are going to be expensive, right? So that's what you do. You own the ships that are going to be moving. You try and make sure that you can afford some of the premium camouflage in order to get more value from it. God, these ships that just keep popping up in the background are really distracting. And then assign pretty skilled commanders within reason, and you should get a second commander. I am going to make sure that my Des Moines commander, the day of the U.S. line split just before, I'm going to assign him to my Cleveland. And when I assign him to my Cleveland, I should have a commander that follows the Cleveland, and then another commander that will be sitting at whatever the tier 6 ship would be, which would obviously be the Pensacola when the U.S. line split. So that's how I'm going to maximize my return on investment. I hope that this was helpful in answering your questions. Wargaming could announce that this is not how it's going to work because of previous splits and how much return they are. But if it does indeed continue the established split economy, this is exactly what you should do to maximize your return. I hope this was helpful. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.